talk about making offers, right? What's the mechanics behind the offer, right? Obviously the key to getting contracts is to make offers, right? We talked about that. I mean, I think I beat that into submission, right? Got to make offers. But the bottom line is, what is the mechanics behind the offers so you can get acceptances? Now, the most important number that you've got to know prior to making an offer, the most important number is what's called your exit number, right? Your exit number. So that is the number you're going to sell the property for. What the price you're going to sell the property for. So you have to know that exit number prior to making an offer. The issue becomes in this game of wholesale real estate, flipping houses, is that exit number is different in every market across the country. So I was talking to a guy, Corey Boatwright in Oklahoma. I mean, his stuff is, they have properties flying off the shelf right now. So their exit numbers percentage is higher than most. So let me give you an example. The essential wholesale rule of thumb, right, and what most educators teach is that you take 70% of ARV less repairs, less your fee is essentially your offer price. The problem when you have ARV times 70%, which is 70% less your repairs and less your fee, what happens is you're going to get outbid in the market, right? So you're going to come in with a ridiculously low offer, which is fine. A ridiculously low offer. ARV is after repair value. So that's a wholesaling real estate term for what is the property worth when all the renovations are complete, right? And it's typically, if you're looking in the market, you're looking for properties that have been the highest comparable sales, highest comparable comps within that specific area. So I'm trying to break it down to make it as easy as possible, for someone to say, hey, how do I find my exit number? Well, I can tell you, in our current market, what determines exit number is inventory, right? And right now, nationally, we're in a mid to low inventory environment right now, where it becomes a seller's market, right? So as inventory increases, it moves from a seller's market to a buyer's market, and that means your exit percentage has to drop. Your exit percentage is going to drop because you're going to have to leave more equity on the table, because it becomes a buying environment. And now there's more inventory, there's more properties for people to choose from. If there's more properties to choose from, there's more competition. That means you have to lower your price. So right now we're in essentially a seller's market. Inventory is moderate to low, which means that we can increase our exit percentage. So let's say you have a property, and there's and I'm talking specifically about properties that are in metropolitan areas where where there's comparable properties around it. I'm not talking about properties that are on the outskirts, properties that are in the rural neighborhoods and rural areas where you pull up the property and there's not another comparable sale from miles around the different properties. And if you have something like that, if it's in a rural area, it's a little bit different. You have to offer the property significantly lower. So if you have there's two types of properties. You have a property that's in a metropolitan area, and you're in Philadelphia, and you're in Baltimore, you're in Phoenix, you're in Los Angeles, you're in San Diego, you're in where there's significant activity in the specific neighborhood, right? And then you have properties that are rural, and there's literally nothing going around nothing going on around that property, where there's no comparable sales, and it's very difficult to find comps. With those properties, you're going to have to exit those properties literally at 60% or below. How do you tell if it's that's a good question. So how do you tell if you're in a buyer and seller market? It's all inventory. Inventory is the key indicator determining whether you're in a buyer and seller market. So how do you determine inventory? Inventory is determined by, you can talk to your real estate agent and ask them to give you a current inventory on the market of properties that are currently active, properties are currently pending, and then sold properties, and you want a historic. So you want to look at current inventory right now, current inventory where it was a year ago, current inventory where it was essentially 2 to 3 years ago. So if you can do that, then you can see a trend to see if the inventory is increasing or the inventory is decreasing. Our inventory in Phoenix right now is pretty much flat, meaning we have about anywhere from 15 to 16,000 units on the market. A bad market, right, or where it's a low is where it gets up to 30, 40,000 units. In a crazy aggressive market, mean it's a massive seller's market. When it decreases down to 15, 16, 10,000 units, then the market's going to go crazy, and it's going to be very difficult for buyers to get properties because there's less inventory. All right. So what we have to find, here's the key thing I want to basically drive home today, because I've had a lot of questions about really dialing in your offer, right? Because you can make 50 offers, 60 offers, 100 offers, but if you're off on your numbers, you're not going to get acceptance, right? You're not going to get acceptance. You want to make, if you're going to make an offer, you want to make, especially if it's a written offer that you're going to have to give, you want to give your highest and best number, but that will also enable you to make a profit, right? So what we have to do is the key number is what's called an exit number. That's the number we're going to sell the property for. So we have to find the exit number, and the exit number is essentially a percentage of the ARV, right? And so we have to figure out, okay, what's the percentage of the ARV? Now that and then you're going to do your percentage less repairs less your fee. Now in a market that's, this guy, come on dude, go. In a market that is as an aggressive market like we are here in Phoenix, right? In other parts of the country like Oklahoma and other areas where the inventory is low, that exit percentage number increases, meaning the normal way to figure out your exit percentage would be, or the exit number would be 70% less repairs, less fee, right? 70%. As the inventory increases, right? As the inventory decreases and we turn around and do that, we want to go 75% less repairs, less fee, or we can even move up to 78% less repairs, less fee. So in Oklahoma, they're taking properties at 78 to 80% less repairs, less their fee, and they're being able to exit that property fairly quickly, right? So when you're making an offer, here's what we got to do, right? And if you're in a metropolitan area, you're in Phoenix, you're in, an area where there's significant amount of comps, it's your number, your exit number is going to be between 70 and 80%, depending how hot your market is. 70 to 80% of ARV, after repair value. So what is ARV? ARV is all the highest comps in the neighborhood, right? So you can take all those highest comps in the neighborhood, and then also you're going to have all the lowest comps in the neighborhood. The lowest comps are typically a wholesale number of numbers. So you want to make sure that you're exiting below the lowest comps, right? And you're using the highest comps where you can take between 70 and 80% of the ARV, less repairs, less fee. Now, I want to tell you a real thing real quick. Exit strategy is basically you're selling the property, right? You're selling the property to a buyer. So your exit strategy is essentially you're just selling the wholesale property. There's really not an exit strategy. The exit strategy be how you're going to do it. Put the property on Craigslist, put the property on foresalebyowner.com, put the property on Zillow, send out postcards to cash buyers. We have a large email list we blast out to our email buyers, and sell the properties that way. So the bottom line is what we have to drive home is I want you guys to make as many offers as possible, but I want you to be as aggressive as possible when it comes to making offers. So you have to know that you come out. So I would suggest offering where you're offering anywhere from between 70 and 80% of that number, and now your exit percentage is going to be that 80% less repairs, less fee, or 75% less repairs, less fee. So, how do you determine that? I would put a blanket across the entire market right now stating that inventory is essentially low, so you can be more aggressive. So what I would do is offer 75% less repairs, less fee. Start right there in a more area where there's a metropolitan area. So if you take less 75%, less repairs, less fee, that's going to give you a good offer number to a seller, where then you're going to be able to exit the property with no problem. So when you're making offers, you take the highest number, ARV, right? The highest comps in the neighborhood. You're going to slice it at 75% of that value, less repairs. All right. So how do you figure out repairs, right? That's the next question. Because you go 75% less repairs, less your fee. So 75% of the value. So if the property's worth $100,000, you initially slice to 75%. Now you got to figure out repairs. Well, now, right, you might not be able to see the property, right? So you have to guesstimate of what the repairs are. They don't have to be perfect. What you're going to do is you're going to take the property square footage and multiply that property square footage times $15 to $20 a foot. $15 to $20 a foot, right? $15 to $20 a foot. So you take $100,000, 75%, take the property square footage, let's call it 1,000 square feet, times $15 is $15,000. So 75 minus $15,000 minus your fee, right? And you want to minus that, whatever fee is, and I would start your fee at $15,000. That's going to give you a fairly aggressive offer number that you can put out there. So those are the numbers you have to figure out to determine to make the most aggressive offer you can. Now, if you're in a super hot market, instead of 75%, you can move up to 80%. In a market where inventory is or properties are moving slower, you might have to move that number down. As the market decreases and the market corrects, that number goes down. It says 75%. So it's $100,000 house, instead of 75,000, 75% might have to go 70,000. I brought it down to where it's down to 65,000, less repairs, less fee. And buyers will step up and purchase that property. So the cool thing is real estate wholesalers, all we're doing is adjusting our ARV percentage, less repairs, less fee. And what that's going to do is that is going to enable us to still sell the property into the market fairly quickly. Because remember, we got to sell our property like that. If you look at average days on market here in Phoenix are 90 to 120 days. So the bottom line is we got to sell our property just like that. So we got to make it so desirable that we can move it quickly. So what makes a property desirable? Equity. The more equity the property has, the better. So when you're making your 100 offers, you're making your 50 offers, how many that ever is, you want to make sure that you are as aggressive number as you possibly can, and you do that by determining your exit percentage and your exit number. So your exit percentage number is going to be essentially the percentage, right? What it is, then we're going to start at 75% of value, 100,000, 75,000, less repairs, right? So you can use anywhere from $15 to $20 a foot for repairs, times the square footage of the property, minus your fee. So your exit number is going to be 75% less your repairs, and your fee right there and is going to be built in, and that's what you're going to exit the number, and you're going to sell the property for into the market, and buyers are going to buy at that specific number. So, and then buyers typically negotiate from there. So the bottom line is that is understanding there's multiple different ways to structure deals. Again, I've hammered, you guys heard me hammer this. You've got to make offers, but you want to make aggressive offers. I believe now you can make offers, across the country at 75%. So you have ARV 100,000 per se, 75% less repairs. Repairs are you take the square footage times $15 to $20 a foot minus your fee, and that is going to give you a good significant offer where you can get that accepted. You want to make written offers, okay? That is imperative. In written offers, and here's why. I'm going to tell you why. And we found this out. Guys, you got to realize I've been doing wholesaling for 15 years. 15 years I've been wholesaling, and we've done everything wrong over the 15 years to figure out how to do it right? So we've done verbal offers. So we just give verbal offers, right? And guess what? Our offer to contract ratio plummets. But then we actually write physical offers, right? So the question here was, when you're making offers, should you write them or give them a verbal offer? So what we found is when you write verbal offers, it turns a conversation between two people into a serious event. So we have a conversation into a serious event, and the serious event is now I've got a legal binding contract in front of me that I have to make a decision by, and now I've got to make that decision on that deadline of that property, or the contract becomes null and void. So now they're going to talk to their wife. They're going to talk to their business partner. They're going to sit down and they're going to have something in writing for them to respond to. A verbal offer is just a conversation. For example, we got a contract on a property yesterday where 3 other buyers were at the property. 3 other buyers, came in and talked to the seller, right? Number one, we turned around and one guy did a verbal offer. I'll offer you this. Right? And then didn't come back, didn't write a contract, right? Then another guy came in and said, well, listen, I don't really know what to offer. And here's the seller's objection. The seller objection said, I want to know what the payoff is on my loan because it's in foreclosure. I want to know the payoff first before I sign the contract. So this is a deal we did yesterday, right? Got it under contract, smoking deal, right? Property's worth $335 and we got the property for $170, okay? Smoking deal. Property's in foreclosure. Right? So someone came in and said, we'll give you cash, $170,000. Her objection was, here's the objection. The objection says, I want to know what my payoff is on my loan before I sign. That's the objection. The next guy comes in and says, okay, he took that objection and he said, I'm going to do a payoff. I'm going to pull a payoff from your bank. Let's do a letter of authorization. I'll pull a payoff from the bank and then we can determine so you can have that information. So that objection, he took that objection and he said, okay, I'm going to pull the payoff. What does that do though? What does it do? You don't get the contract, right? You don't get the contract. Basically a letter of authorization enables someone to pull the payoff from the bank, but you can't, that doesn't secure the property. So the first guy comes in, gave a verbal offer. Well, he lost the deal. Second guy came in and said, okay, he heard the objection. She wants to know what the balance, what's the payoff on the loan. And he goes, okay, let's find the payoff and then I can make an offer. What do? We come in. Why would someone, let's talk about this for a second. This is important. Why would someone, and this is gold right here, so you might want to write this down. Why would someone ask what the payoff is, right? So she would accept the offer at 170, but she needs to know the payoff. What is the root of her question? If you're going to boil it down, what is she most concerned of? See if you guys can get this. So if you said how much cash she's going to get, how much she's going to walk with, that, my friends, is the right answer. So let's talk about this. So she's going to sign the contract, but she says, I really need to know what the payoff is before I can sign. One guy writes a letter of authorization, which does nothing other than enables you to get the payoff. That doesn't get the contract signed. We come in and guess what our question was? Now here's the deal. Interesting enough, I was at the Border Mastermind down in Punta Cana last week, and one of the guys there does significant tens of millions of dollars in business, over 300 deals a year, and they get on the phone with every single seller from their acquisition department. So before their acquisition department, we're going to talk about this here in a sec, the acquisition guy, before they leave the house, they get on the phone with the seller. So here's what happened yesterday. My new sales guy got me on the phone with this lady that I talked to yesterday. And I knew the objection was I need to get the payoff. So my question to her, and I'm on speakerphone, I've got him on the line, I've got my disposition guy there, and I'm on speaker talking to the seller. I said, let me ask you a question, lady. Or I think her name was Jill or something like that. So let me ask you a question, right? Is it more important to find out what the payoff is, or is it more important for you to know exactly how much cash you're going to walk with? She goes, well, I really need to know how much cash I'm going to walk with. So let me ask you a question. What's the minimum amount of cash you'd like to walk with? And she goes, well, I'd like $45,000. Okay, good. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. If we got you $45,000, would you sign the contract today? And she goes, well, if you could get me $45,000, then I would sign the contract today. Okay. Now she owed at the time she thinks $115,000 to $120,000. So I said, what we'll do is we'll write the contract, Mr. Seller, and we'll say buyer agrees to pay seller $45,000 net at closing. Buyer agrees to pay all settlements of mortgages, liens, judgments, late payments, all that shall not exceed $125,000. So if we write that, you're covered. You get your $45,000. We get to pay off all the liens and judgments, and now we get that deal under contract, and we start moving forward and get this thing handled, right? Because every single day that ticks by, the fees are getting higher and higher, and it's eating into what we can do. So in this particular case, we got the deal under contract yesterday. Two other investors were already there and didn't because they couldn't overcome that objection. So we said, hey, how much cash? And she goes, $45,000. If we give you $45,000, you sign a contract today? Yes, right? Boom, now we got a yes. So I'm on the phone with my guy. I told him exactly how to write it, right? And he turned around, he wrote up the contract, got the deal yesterday, and I'm telling you, it's going to be a smoking deal. The property's worth $335. We got our contract for $170, and we can just give the seller $45,000. We can take over the mortgage, and now we have a seller finance deal if we want. Have a great day, and I will see you guys later. God bless.